wonderful day in Knoxville.
Sorry.
Is it still raining?
No.
Just
chilly.
ugly, is it? Just ugly out there?
It's chilly.
What's the forecast? I haven't even heard one.
For Saturday?
Yeah.
60% rain.
Good. Does that mean 40% sunshine?
40% sun.
See how I think?
Yeah.
Kinda like it.
Eternal
Okay.
optimist.
Where are we at, gang? Who's got the questions here? Let's go for it.
After last week, Jim, the second scrimmage, Tyler looked like his accuracy numbers were up a little bit. Is that some of the fundamentals taking shape, or is that still a little too early to say that one thing fixed that up?
Oh, no, I think he was really concentrating on being accurate with the ball last week. I think he came into the scrimmage with a good mindset and performed at a pretty good rate of speed. Tyler's issues is when he isn't all grinding down into the mental side of it, and then his feet aren't catching up with everything. But he was into it this on the past scrimmage and played pretty well.
Having Hunter back obviously helped a little bit for him as well, I would imagine.
Oh, I think it encourages everybody when you get a good player back, getting on the field playing. It was fun to see him out there running around. It's always good to see 11 on the field.
Was it disappointing to, it seemed like he kind of maybe lost some of that tempo and some of that rhythm later in the scrimmage. Was it disappointing to see that a little bit for Tyler?
Well, when we don't perform well, whether it's early or late, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
So let's define that. I thought that after the halftime of the scrimmage, we didn't perform as well in the second half, and that is disappointing. Just maintaining focus with some maturity is important for us, and we need to continue to work on that.
Jim, last year, it was always, when people talked about Devon, it was a specialty role and he was a specialty back. Do you look at him differently now in the spring than you did?
Well, I know Coach Dooley has giant plans for him with specialty. There's no question about that. But from the offensive side of it, he's played exceptionally well for us playing tailback, and we're really pleased to have him out there. There's a lot of things you can do with him. He's like that toy you had as a kid, you know. He has a lot of physical abilities and a lot of skill level, and it's fun to watch him grow and mature and understand a little bit more, and he can assume a few more roles. But I think he's had a very good spring for us.
Is he doing more in between the tackles than maybe you guys expected?
No, I haven't really thought about that. We just call a play, and if he happens to be in there, he's performing pretty well. I have not done any of that this spring as far as play-specific stuff.
Does his size limit you in any way with what you want to do with him?
Well, I think you have to be conscious of any back who has to block a 260-pound end. You know, in certain protections, you're always concerned about that. But for the most part, this spring, like I just said, Jimmy, we haven't done anything that way. We just put them out there and let them play. And if they get stuck in a protection having to block a 260-pounder, so be it. Grow up, be a man. And he's had to do that several occasions. We've been pleased with how he's performed.
Has he been your most consistent running back?
I don't know that. I look through all that stuff post-spring and kind of form those judgments on what we have. At times, it seems like it's like any other team. Someday he'll have a good day, next day he might not. So I can't say that. I don't know if that's true.
Marlon Lane showed a lot of improvement.
I was real proud of Marlon. The first scrimmage, I don't think Marlon was pleased with how he played, and all week he prepared very well, and he was very successful on this past scrimmage. He was more physical, downhill running back that we expect to have.
Have you had any consistent receivers behind Rick and Justin kind of step up and fill in some spots?
I think Zach shows up every day out here. You know, Vincent shows a lot of things, a lot of physicality in the perimeter run blocking and such. Cody Blank flashes good signs of being a good football player for us in due time. I think Jacob Carter from day one to the end has done a lot of real nice things. So I think the wide receivers on the whole have tried to be more physical, and that's been pleasing to see.
I know Coach really talked about that position was a concern depth-wise. Is that still a concern leaving spring, or do you feel like those guys have really stepped up to really help you?
You get enough. You know, have you ever met a coach that said, boy, we got too much depth? I'm waiting on that. You know, I haven't seen that. You'd always like to have as much quality depth as you possibly can get. So is it a concern? Yes, and it will be. Do I retire from the sport of football? So,
Spring was over today.
I hope it's football. Maybe I'll be a fishing guide sometime.
If you didn't have the orange and white game and not practice tomorrow, would you leave pretty satisfied with what you've done in terms of progress in the running game?
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with where we're at right now. I am.
What did you need to see?
More physicality and an appreciation for physicality. It's more of an attitude and a demeanor. That they understand to run the ball, you got to hit people. And I feel like we've accomplished that.
How do you measure appreciation for physicality?
Like you measure everything else, our video.
What do you look when you're
Are they
watching?
hitting people? Do they have a desire to hit people? Same damn thing you're looking for on Saturdays. Does someone look like they want to hit somebody? You know, that's it in a nutshell. And you can see that everybody sees the guy that pulls away from contact. We're trying to avoid that. Trying not to put those guys on the field.
Obviously, you're pleased with the offensive line, but in general, are you pleased with the running backs? I know you
talked a lot about them individually, but as a collective group,
Yeah, I think
consistent as you want.
Jay's done a hell of a job with those guys. I think they understand the direction we're trying to go. I think what's been very clear to those kids is what they have to work on day in, day out. Jay does a very good job of giving them specific things to get better at day to day. And you see them coming out here when you watch the tape. They might be a little slow doing something, but you can see what they're doing. They're thinking about a motor skill that they have to work on that day. That's been pleasing to see.
Jim, has that been different with having Jay as a full-time coach?
I don't know. I thought Chino did a solid job too. So to compare the two of them, I think that'd be unfair. But I'm really pleased that Jay's with us.
Just because of play callers, you ever get situations where if a couple of runs don't work, you say, all right, time to air it out.
How many years have you done this? Hell yes, you do. Any play caller has that dilemma. You know, you're much easier to give up on the run game than you are the passing game. And I just think that's kind of the way we do things as play callers. So, certainly so. And I'm trying to, that's something I got to work on. As I was talking about players developing things that they need to work on, as coaches we need to.
Trying to accomplish Saturday.
I'd like for them to go out there and be physical, secure the ball and play physical. After that, I'm good. You know, whatever coach wants as a goal, that's what I'm into. But from an offensive standpoint, I want us to continue right on the path we've been going on, demonstrate we want to hit somebody and hold on to damn football.
When you get impatient with the run game a little bit, does a reminder?
You're running with this one.
Does a reminder need to come from maybe?
Oh, it usually does. Usually line coaches are the first one to say, hey, Jim, will you run it? You know, and sometimes it never comes. And usually when that comes, that means nobody on that staff really believes we ought to be running that ball. You know, what you want is somebody always reminding you, hey, run the ball, run the ball. And I usually have that.
Sometimes it's harder to be patient if you've got a really good quarterback, really good receiver.
Well, that's a philosophical thing. If you go in the game and you're going to be 60-40 pass to run, then you're probably not going to run it as much as you want. But if you're trying to be balanced, you go into with a game plan of being balanced, and you start skewing off that thing early, then you probably need to be refocused.
How do you look at Tyler Spring as a whole? He obviously had the scrimmage that was a little shaky, and then seemed to bounce back against a little bit last week. Just how's he done overall?
Well, I think that he's learned from his mistakes. He continues to try to work hard. I thought this week he's worked very hard on some things we came out.